it, fam. Let's get to it. It's something that I can't contain no more. I have to talk about it. It's this Bible, right? The Bible. Far too often, all I ever hear people do is to critique the Bible, to talk about it, whether it's religious people trying to prove that their version and their interpretation of the Bible is the correct way, whether it's a atheist who's trying to prove or disprove that the Bible is even anything that somebody should pay attention to, or why should it be the supreme authority, or whatever the case may be. But rarely do I ever come across people who just genuinely read the Bible for understanding. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Rarely do I ever see people who just pick up the Bible and all they like is, what can I learn from this? Most people, they pick up the Bible and they look at this. Do you see what this says? There's no way in the world this could be right. So see, that's the reason why I justify living my life the way that I want to live. And see, there's no way that this can be true. Science has already disproved this. So this is clearly wrong and this is clearly wrong. Or, see, this is exactly what the Bible says. You can't live like this. You can't do this. You can't be here. You can't go there. You can't say this. You can't look like this. You can't walk like this. And if you don't believe this, that, and the third, and this right here, and if you don't get this understanding when you read the Bible, then it's clearly obvious that you don't have the right interpretation of the Bible. You wrong. You wrong. It's wrong. The Bible's wrong. You wrong. Your interpretation of the Bible is wrong. Everything is wrong. Wrong. But rarely do I ever hear somebody just pick up the Bible and say, you know what? I read this Bible. I applied what this Bible said. And you know what happened? My life changed. I'm not saying that I haven't heard people say that. Let me not go be so off the wall and dramatic. But what I am saying is by and large, the vast majority of people read the Bible from a perspective of how can I disprove it, or how can I use it and weaponize it to make it so that what I believe is right and everything everybody else believes is wrong. Why am I going here with this? I think the story of Genesis tells us why this took place. It's certain stuff that you read, and as soon as you read it, if you read it, and here's what I'm getting ready to tell you. I'm getting ready to say this, and I'm probably going to get chastised for saying this. If you read it from a worldly perspective, it makes more sense to you. Now, I'm not saying that you approach God from a worldly perspective. I'm saying if you read it from a worldly perspective, the Bible tends to make more sense to you. Let me give you an example. I want to tell you the story of Adam and Eve, right? All of us have grown up in an environment, family, world, regardless, where somebody told you don't do something, right? Somebody said to you, hey, listen, I'm telling you right now, it's to your advantage to not do this. But at some point, you made up in your mind that the very thing that they told you not to do, you wanted to see for yourself, right? You wanted to try it for yourself to see if I just got to figure this out for myself. The Bible says that God told Adam and Eve of every tree in the garden, freely eat. Why is this important? Because that speaks to abundance. That speaks to provision. That speaks to you being able to live just freely live the way you want to live. It's go for it. And not only this, but God set it up in such a way that, to be truthfully honest, the more you eat, the more it provides. What do I mean by that? If you take a fruit from a tree and you eat it, inside of that fruit are seeds. You plant that seed, you don't get another fruit, you get another tree. You get something else that produces more and produces more in multiplication. The way God set up the system, when you obey it the way you're supposed to obey it, it doesn't just give you substance or value or provision at that moment, but it multiplies. It continues to make sure that not only you have, but everything that comes after you is provided for too. You don't just have the means and the provision to take care of yourself. You have the means and the provision to take care of everything that comes after you, your children, your grandchildren, everybody, when you do it the right way. The problem is we become so fixated on doing the one thing that we're not supposed to do. The one thing we not supposed to do. God said, but of this tree, don't do it lest you die. Now, I'm kind of curious. There's a portion of me that thinks that tree had no inherent ability whatsoever. I'm just being real with you. I don't really think that the tree in and of itself made you wise or made you stupid. I think it just was God's and he said, don't touch it. Because in order for you to be obedient, you have to have the ability to be disobedient. In order for you to be to do things right, you have to also have the ability to do something wrong. And I really think that tree was just a representation of the ability for you to choose wrong for yourself. Now, I won't tell you the whole story about what Satan said to, or what the serpent said to Eve and everything. But the Bible says that once she realized that the fruit was pleasing to the eye, was pleasing to the touch, was good for taste, and it gave them the desire to make one wise, she took of the fruit and then gave it to her husband that was next to him. And it said their eyes was open. I know this is getting ready to y'all like, well, dude, go, where are you going with this? Listen to what I'm getting ready to say. It said that their eyes was open. And what was the first thing they realized the moment they had became wise? That they were naked. What does naked speak to? It speaks to lack. It speaks to inferiority. It speaks to every deficiency you feel about yourself the moment they became wise. See, they didn't become wise and now all of a sudden they can solve calculus problems and they can look into the sky and figure out the trajectory of the stars and everything. As soon as they became wise, they realized how much they was insufficient, how much their bodies didn't look like they wanted it to look, how they was ashamed, how they felt worthless, how they lacked value. That's the first thing that happened to them as soon as they became wise. As soon as they got everything they thought they were supposed to get, the first thing they realized is how much they didn't measure up to anything. See, we go through this life thinking if I could just do the one thing that I feel like I need to do, if I can just get this, if I could just have this, if I can touch this. And here's the deal. In some regards, it does feel good to you. It does make you feel okay and make you feel like, oh, that tasted great, or dang, that made me feel good. But the end on the back end, the result on the back end is that you tearing stuff up just so that you can feel good for a moment. And then on the back end, you find yourself deficient. You find yourself lacking. You find yourself in a situation where your provision and your self-aware, your self-consciousness and your security is gone because you chose to do something in a way that wasn't what you were supposed to do it. See, if you would have followed the rules, you would have had all the abundance in the world to do everything your heart desired. You could have freely eaten. You could have freely lived. You could have freely chilled. You could have freely enjoyed this life, but you chose to do it your way. Now, let's take it a step further. The name of the tree was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now I have this sort of understanding that good and evil are both existing on the same plane, but one speaks to how it makes you feel, and the other speaks to what you're willing to do to feel the way you feel. Let me frame that a little differently. There are some things that you can do that feel good to you, and it's good. There are some things that you realize feel good to you. Oh, and here's the kicker. You'll tear another person's whole world up just for you to do what feels good to you. You will destroy another person's whole life. You will destroy a community. You will destroy a country. You will destroy your work. Make no mistake about it. To do what you want to do, you will destroy the world. That's evil. And once you unleash your desire to feel good, you unleash all types of evil that you cannot control anymore. When you look at our society right now, people swear up and down, well, this is two consenting people, or this is just somebody, I don't understand how this is bothering anybody else. But when you look at the subcurrent and you look at people's lives that are being destroyed, all because you making a choice that makes you feel good, but it cares little for what it causes other people. Make no mistake about it. I believe that God is more practical than anybody ever gives him credit for. And I think God understood that the moment we realized that we can do something that feels good to us at the expense of everybody else, we would ultimately choose it. And not only would we ultimately choose it, we would prefer to choose that more than we would choose doing what's right. We would prefer to do what feels good to us and desire to do what feels good to us, even once we realize that it will cost the world and cost other people everything. But that's the wisdom that we gained when we ate from the fruit. That's the wisdom that we gained when we became disobedient and ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Oh, you'll feel good for a moment. And it makes you feel good to be rebellious and to do something that you've said that you've been told not to do. But make no mistake, in the end, you'll realize that it cost you and other people around you everything. I would suggest that when you start reading the Bible, don't just read it from a religious perspective to make it, to find out all the do's and the don'ts and the this, or don't just read it from a atheist perspective trying to prove and disprove God. Read it from a perspective of where you are in life and how this book and this word applies to you, because that's what God intended when he gave you the Bible. The Bible wasn't written to you. It was written for you to understand, for you to see that there's nothing new under the sun, for you to see that for everything that you've ever gone through, God has already provided a way out. God already understood that the moment you had a choice to choose between what feels good for you and tearing somebody else's life apart just to do the things that feel good to you, he already knew that you was going to do that, and the Bible explained that to you. But in all of that, God also proved to you that he had made provisions from you since before the foundations of the earth to free you from the bondage of your own choices and your own life and your own decisions. All he ever expected for you was to give him a chance. And that's why he laid it before you in the Bible. All right, y'all. That's my 2 cents on the two-piece. Y'all be blessed.
Now you're locked in